Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ripped For Rugby podcasts. I'm Jake Harris, and today I've got a special guest from Canberra, Australia, Mr. Ben Norcott from Elite Rugby Strength and Conditioning. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. So, for those that don't know who you are and kind of where you're from, your sort of work, Ben, can you give us a bit of a rundown on that?
Yeah, okay. So currently I work for the Brumbies and I look after their pathways and all their commercial clients. So they'll get teams in from Japan or individual players coming in to want training. So they'll actually pay us to look after their training. Before that, I was with Tuggeranong Vikings for 4 years and had a fairly successful time there. Then after that, before that, sorry, I had a little bit of a break for a year, and before that, I was in Japan for a couple of years with a professional rugby team over there called Secom. Also, in that time with Vikings, I was a casual at the AIS doing strength and conditioning. And before Secom, I was with Vikings for a number of years, and before that, I've worked with several other club rugby teams as well.
Yeah,
So
nice.
a brief.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a consulting sort of role that you do with the Brumbies, sort of.
No, so I'm there full time, and I look after all their pathways. And we, as a team, there's a few of us there. So one's a sort of a commercial manager who sort of looks after the business and does the admin side of things. And there's another skills coach there, but we look after all the pathways and all the commercial clients that they get.
Yeah, awesome. So, mate, I first started seeing your work and following you on social media, seeing like a lot of, I guess, rugby specific strength and conditioning sort of work and drills that you do with players in the gym and stuff like that. And I've always really liked that sort of work, especially at clubs around the place that I've played at, and always enjoy the rugby specific stuff. Like, can you give us a rundown on why you think that's so important for players, not only to be strong in the gym, but also work a lot on that sort of, I guess, functional rugby strength and conditioning.
Yeah. Yeah, well, where I first started using it was particularly at teams where you don't have the skills coaches allocated to each position or for certain areas of the game. So as a strength and conditioning coach, you've got to bridge that gap. And as everyone out there probably would know, there's a lot of things where you can contrast a strength exercise with a power exercise. But what we've been doing lately, and I've been doing for a while, is contrasting a strength exercise with a rugby-specific exercise, and they could be different for each playing group. The main reason for that is we get more motor learning in that position, and as they progress through the program, we can get more complicated actual skill work and make them specifically strong and powerful for rugby. Because at the end of the day, you've probably had friends that are really good in a gym but terrible out on a field.
Yeah.
We're really trying to bridge the gap. Well, there's guys that are really strong and powerful on the field but not in the gym. So we're trying to bridge a gap each way there.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. How much time do you kind of spend between specific stuff and then the more traditional, squats, deadlifts, that sort of thing? Like how much time do you spend on each, and how do you find that balance?
Look, as they're younger, we tend to do a lot more where that we're developing their strength. But as a rule, I try and spend about 25% of the time on prehab and rehab, because at the end of the day, if I'm not holding their bodies together, it doesn't matter if they're strong and powerful. If they've got joint pain and they can't move well, they're not going to be a benefit. And the rest of the time is really split between traditional strength stuff and the contrasting of the power movements. So it's probably about a 50-50 split. With the younger guys, it might be 75 traditional, 25 non. But it depends on each individual. But there's always an element of that in there, because I've found it very successful over the period that I've been doing it.
Yep. And obviously, during the season, volume in the gym kind of, I guess, is a little bit less than what you might be doing in the off season or even the pre-season. How much does that change at all? With your sort of, how much does the volume change in season for that sort of thing? Are you ramping it up?
Yeah,
off
well, it
season?
depends on the team. Yeah, sorry. Depends on the team and how much access we have to them. But the main thing that does drop would be So a little bit more of our on-field time.
Yep.
Our gym time's pretty similar, maybe one session less a week, because the strength component and the prehab component holds people together, and still do some contrasting of power there. But the main thing that would drop off would be the amount of time that I have on the field doing conditioning.
Yep.
But by that stage, the in-season, particularly, your skill drills should be at game intensity.
Yep.
And then I might only have 2 or 3 times a week. I might do, 2 or 3 sets per week.
Yep.
Of just 4-minute or 3-minute drills of conditioning for those extreme periods that they'll find.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot less volume, but the intensity is pretty great there.
Pretty high, yeah. Cool. And so, out of in season now, like in the off season, are there like some exercises that you have as just like staples, like that every player, you know, if you had your way, like every player around the world should be doing, sort of thing? Like, are there any like specific ones that guys just have to do, like, in your opinion?
Yeah. Oh, look, there's no specific exercise like that. One exercise for one person might be causing pain for another person by the way that they're biomechanically set up or the injuries that they've had. But there's you've got to have a balance between movement patterns. So sort of a general rule is I make sure that we're always doing some form of one leg stuff to make sure that their glute medians are working, they're functional on one leg, that they've got a good hip extension exercise happening, and you can change that. And it might be a double leg movement so across there. So it's no one exercises, but there's movement patterns that we're trying to cover off each week to make sure that we're getting people to move functionally. And someone, if they have an issue in one movement pattern, well, we'd pay attention to fix that up. So it's less exercises and more movement patterns that we look after.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a roundabout way of answering. No, there's probably not just one exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all context, hey. Yeah, I'm in Portugal at the moment playing rugby, and one of the big problems I see for our guys in the gym is that hip extension. Like, do you see that quite commonly? Like, I've seen it in other rugby clubs as well. Like, guys just struggle with that whole hip extension and just like the deadlift sort of, you know, exercises in general and stuff. Do you think that they're... I'll ask 2 questions in one. Like, do you think that guys need to obviously A, nail that hip extension technique, and then B, spend more time on glutes, hams and stuff like that rather than the t-shirt muscles that rugby players like? Yeah,
well, look, everyone wants to look good, but at the end of the day, nothing looks good better than a good rugby performance. So you can forget about how you start, how you move. But yeah, look, there's easy things that you can address straight away with people who have poor hip extensions. If you talked about a deadlift there, or a clean, or even a squat, if that's the case, I put a band around their hips at a 45-degree backwards, so that when they squatted or deadlifted, they've got no choice but to get that hip extension in. Yeah. So, yeah, hip extension's bad, but if you look at why that is, how much sitting around do we do now? Our hip flexors are tight, glute maxes don't work that well, our glute medians aren't working as well as they probably would be if we were out about running around and moving well all day. So yeah, hip extension is a big issue.
Yeah, absolutely. So mate, I want to go from, like, obviously you're working with the Brumbies now and done a lot of like pro stuff in Japan before. Is there any major differences you see between like the Brumbies or pro level and like club level? Like, obviously you have more time with the guys at a pro level, but at club level, like, you've obviously only got, you know, maybe 2-3 sessions a week with these guys. Like, is there anything, you know, what are the main differences you kind of see?
Yeah, well, one of the big things is there's very rarely a difference in strength, like with semi-professional and pro. The main difference is power and the dynamic power, and that's why I did move away from like traditional power exercises to making more rugby-specific ones.
Yep.
And it's a trend that's happening everywhere in all sports. But your ability to have power, just say in a contact situation, one guy's 115, one's 105, you arrived there earlier, you can put on your power quicker than them, you'll win that contact situation. So power's the big difference.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right. Cool. So I want to, obviously, like, my background's a bit more nutrition sort of thing, so I want to just touch, I guess, kind of briefly on that. So At club level, like how much say do you get in, say when you're at Tuggeranong, like how much say do you get with your guys, like I guess advice for nutrition? Like obviously you're working with them in the gym and stuff, like were you in charge of like, you know, giving them advice around nutrition, and was there like a specific sort of protocol, I guess, like that you like to use with guys and nutrition?
Well, I'm quite lucky. My wife's actually a nutritionist,
Oh,
so
nice.
we utilise her a lot. But the main thing is food diaries.
Yep.
Definitely, you get a 5 to 7 day food diary, and if some people find it hard and they don't remember to write things down, we got them to take a photo of everything they ate and drank over a certain period of time.
Yep.
And the main thing that it's people know what they should eat most of the time, and they might sort of buy into sort of unfortunately bad supplements and so forth, especially from America at the moment, where they load them with whatever they want and they don't have to say anything, and the salt levels are so massive in them that people are putting on heaps of fluid and thinking they're getting bigger. Sort of off track there, but the main thing is tracking their food and making sure that they become prepared. Most people don't take the time to actually prepare their meals and think about what that food is doing to them through the day. So I think more help that they can get on nutrition, the better. And don't believe marketing all the time, because at the end of the day, they're trying to make money. So you've got to really filter through that. North American marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's funny. Like I think pretty much every club that, like I've played in England, Australia, now I'm in Portugal, like the same questions are always there from the boys, like what's the best protein powder, what's the best fat burner, what's the best supplement? It's like, just eat some real food, know what it does, and then we'll cover those sort of things later, you know what I mean? I think that real food and like, you know, structuring it in a way that's going to help body composition, help performance, like guys just really overlook those sort of things that should be nailed first. And you know, I couldn't agree more. Like this, the marketing and supplements is so good that, you know, sometimes I buy into it and I know better. So it is hard, and that's, you know, that's
we can all, like, we're in a moment when we're looking to gain something, make a mistake, and sometimes with those supplements, you can be making a mistake where you're going to test positive and you're not going to be playing football for a couple of years, because in America they don't have to put on labels what's in it. You have to prove afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's your responsibility.
Yeah, that's a big issue.
So, mate, we'll start to wrap it up now. I want to keep this pretty short, but if you could go back to 20-year-old Ben, what advice would you give yourself as a young rugby player or coach, I guess, strength coach?
Yeah, mine would be a lot more rehab and prehab, and really look after your body. And just probably, even back then, I'd probably, you know, smash a whole lot of protein powder and so forth, but I should have been eating a lot better foods. The other one is really looking after inflammatory stuff, so getting on fish oil and so forth. So, you know, a 40-year-old Ben now doesn't have to be in so much pain. But so I'd say. And the other is, like, the gym is great place, but the more time you can spend on the field getting better at your skills, the better you'll get as a football player. And the gym's there to slowly make you stronger and powerful, but it's more there to hold your body together so that you can sustain, you know, lots of training and hopefully get a few less injuries in a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, and final question I'm going to ask everyone, I guess, before the World Cup this year. Who's going to win the World Cup in England this year?
Mate, I have to say Australia's dark horses. Look, they've started pretty well in Super Rugby. We're probably going to be coming in after a good season of rugby, so we're going to a lot of rugby leading up to it, while other teams they get time out of, especially in the Northern Hemisphere, they'll get time out of their game and playing, and they'll get focused on the training, but a lot of nerves when you're at home if you're England. And so I'm putting Australia.
I think that whole having time off and playing a whole lot of rugby leading up to it can work both ways, can't it? Like the Super Rugby guys and countries will be in form and practice, but the English sides may not have much. Obviously they'll be training, but you know, not much game experience. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But yeah, I'm hoping the Wallabies pull pull it in this year, so it'll be good.
Yeah, well, I think we've had some interesting times lately, so hopefully we can get it all together. And as we know, New Zealand, if it's not at home,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, exactly, mate. Where can the guys, yeah, where can the guys find out more about you, and what are you working on at the moment that guys can have a look out for?
So at the moment, I'm about to start a magazine, and that'll be a monthly thing, and it'll be based on rugby strength and conditioning. So I've got a whole lot of really good and high-level elite rugby strength and conditioning coaches that'll be writing in that. But I'm also looking at interns and so forth, and talk about what they've learnt sort of at uni versus what they've learnt in a professional setting. So just a lot more sharing. And if you want to find me, it's on Facebook, which is Elite Rugby Strength and Conditioning.
Yep.
And I also have a web page as well, but that's getting updated as we go. At the moment, it's just more of a landing page where you can find some information out
nice.
About us. Yeah.
When I release this, I'll put up all the links and stuff so people can find you. And sounds good. Looking forward to checking out the magazine and just geeking out a little bit more on performance and training and coaching and stuff. Would be good.
Yeah, great, excellent. Yeah, we'll just keep in contact and make sure we're both achieving.
Sounds good. Thanks for your time, Ben. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, see ya.
Thanks, mate.